Welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast, a production from Empowering Pumps and Equipment as the voice of the pump and related equipment industry. Let's go. Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 82. Really, if you add all the bonus episodes, it's 100. So I'm really excited to be here. This is coming out November the 22nd, and I'm your host, Charli Matthews. I'm joined by my co-host, Bethany Womack. I'm so glad to hear. We're here, Bethany. It's awesome.
100 episodes. I don't know anything that I've done 100 times, to be completely honest with you. I was trying to think about it that didn't involve, daily habits. And I'm really proud of us. We made it to 100. We're so thankful. We're thankful that all of you have stuck around with us for 100 episodes. And we really hope that, you've learned a lot hanging out with us and that you're excited to stay with us and keep learning as we move into season 3, a new era, 100 plus episodes. We're going to be here and we hope you're here with us. Leave us a rating and review, do all that, yada, yada. Help us find more listeners. We appreciate it. So I always, at the beginning of the show, tell you what we're going to do with the podcast. And since it was our 100th episode, I went back and I looked at our very first episode to see what we were telling people back then. First of all, we've come a long way with how we do show notes and a lot of things. And I looked, and what we said in that very first episode was that we wanted to do this because it was an extension of our mission to connect, inform, and educate. And that's why we have 3 sections of the show. We wanted to connect people via the social media segment. We wanted to inform people from our industry news segment, and then educate people with our industry interview. I think we've done a really good job of that. And I hope you like the format. And it's kind of fun to look back and see, that's what we've been doing. There's a reason for it.
I think that's great. And I'm so glad you looked back and really, put us back on mission, made us think about why we're doing this. But also, you talked about how it's kind of this routine, this habit that we've gotten into of doing the same thing every week. And it's remarkable that we can do it. I mean, I've never been a routine type of person, but it makes me like it. It made me better, right? And because we're creatives. Okay, let's be clear.
Yeah.
It's because we're creatives. We like things that change. And I think it does help us, though. It helps us kind of learn and grow. And so we'd love to hear you if you were one of those listeners at the beginning to now, how you've seen us change. I'd love that feedback too.
And a lot of the interviews specifically are really evergreen. If you see a topic that you like, scroll through those titles, look back through the old episodes, look for people that you want to hear from. You can listen to those old episodes and you're not going to be out of the loop or anything.
Yes. Okay. So this is really a special episode. And I just want to first thank our sponsors for the podcast today. They're supporting this 100 mark, and we just appreciate you. We appreciate you being here. And so the sponsors are ERL, Cornell Pump, and Proco Products. And we have a few words from each of them throughout the episode. And if you are on YouTube, and we hope that you follow us in both places, actually, and subscribe, you will be able to see these amazing videos that they put together. And so I look forward to that and sharing that with you today.
Yep. Our first clip that we have today is from ERL. ERL is the leader in tank venting, valves, cargo loading, and pumps in the inland marine industry. They hold over 40 patents for products designed to protect the environment and mariners. And at ERL, their goal is to keep our waterways clean and our environment safe, and has over 25 years in the commercial marine industry without one pollution incident, which I think is amazing. Those are definitely people that we share a goal with. And so thank you, ERL, for sponsoring. And here's their short clip.
ERL began in the 1970s as a fabrication and manufacturing company with a bias towards highly engineered products, with expertise in tank venting, valves, and vertical turbine pumps. Over the years, ERL has become the primary supplier of products in the inland marine industry in the United States for tank barges, moving many different liquid cargoes. We work closely with our customers to solve problems that they have. The inland marine industry approached ERL with a problem. The issue was a desire to increase the flow of their current vertical turbine pumps. ERL started the process spending significant time analyzing what was currently available in the market and where we could make improvements. Our customers' greatest desire was an increased flow in gallons per minute. Tank barges are transporting thousands of barrels of product, and if you could unload your product faster, the more quickly you could get back on the river hauling more product. ERL is comprised of 2 facilities in the United States, new product manufacturing and engineering in New Albany, Indiana, and rebuild, repair, and service facility in Houston, Texas. As a part of our process, we built a state-of-the-art pump testing facility at our Houston location that would allow ERL to analyze the changes we were making, and with computational fluid dynamics, we were very quickly able to identify areas of improvement in the current vertical turbine pump technology and increase flow rates. Our improvements yielded a 30% increase in flow on a 12-inch pump, and a tank barge product discharge went from 8 hours to only 6. And with that improvement, we are now the largest pump supplier in the industry. ERL is now working with other industries that are using that same pump technology, such as industrial, municipal, and agriculture, to name a few, which could benefit from the improvements we have made. We are also exploring issues they may be experiencing with current pump technology and looking for opportunities to make improvements. Broken supply chains and lead times have grown significantly. The ERL vertical turbine pump is completely manufactured in the United States with all American-made castings and components, and our lead times have not been impacted. Available in Class 30, ductile iron, and stainless steel depending on application, with discharge heads fabricated in our Indiana facility. ERL is committed to its people, customers, and responsible effects on the environment, and we are ready to help you with your pump challenges. Drop us an email or visit us at elmarine.com.
Thank you, ERL. There are links in our show notes to go to their website and to learn more information about them. They sound amazing to me.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get social. This is where we are going to tell you about a trend, something you need to know that's going on in the industry, how you can celebrate on social media, anything to keep you up to date and keep you social, right?
Talking about celebrations and being festive, our meetups that we're going to have, they're going to be a little fun. You can dress up in whatever you want and be festive with us. So the Empowering Women Meetup is early. It's Wednesday, December the 8th. We have those every second Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Time. We plan to continue that in the new year as well. And then Empowering Brands, December 21st. We'll all be ready for the festivities by that time.
Yeah.
That's every third Tuesday at 3 p.m. Central Time. We hope that you'll, join us.
Yep. Pre-register so you can get the Zoom link sent to your email. The link to register is in the show notes. Like Charli said, come festive. I have a Santa hat that I plan on wearing. I know that Charli has one because we had it at our team meeting. Ugly sweaters. I don't
know if I'm wearing that.
Yes. Ugly sweaters, whatever you want to wear. We just want to see you and connect for this one last time for 2021.
Speaking of connecting, I'm liking this. I keep, playing off of what you're saying today, Bethany. But
it's like we're professionals.
It's amazing how much we can just read each other's minds now, too.
Yeah.
But stay connected with us at Empowering Pumps or using that hashtag Empowering Industry Podcast. It always makes my day to see somebody use that or mention us. So we're looking at that and, go ahead and stay connected with us.
And normally, this is where we do shout outs. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, for social today, we're talking all about podcasting, what we love about how we're doing it, some tips for how, if you want to do it, some tips for you as well. And so we're putting our shout outs all about the podcast. And so I have a few that I just want to say, people that have helped me do the podcast, have helped been our cheerleaders. So first of all, I'm going to start with my husband, Mark, who is probably not going to listen to this episode. I should say it louder so maybe he can hear me. But he has his own show. He taught me everything I need to know. He kind of had this all figured out. And so it was a little easier for me to commit to jumping in because I knew I had someone at home that could help teach me the ropes. Our friend
Nat. I have
Nat.
to say,
Yeah.
Before you move on, I have to say, Mark has been just an inspiration to me too. He's kind of like the hype man that gets us going and kind of, just supports us behind the scenes. So I just wanted to say thank you, Mark, for that as well.
Yes. Our friend Matt, who did all the editing and producing when I was out on maternity leave, and who is there pretty much on standby whenever we need him. It's kind of nice to know that I have that backup. So thank you, Matt. And I know he watches on YouTube, so I'm going to give him a big wave. Michelle Siegrist, who filled in for me while I was on maternity leave, Becca, who's a substitute co-host on the regular, and really everybody at our empowering team, Amber for posting social, and Vince for selling sponsor spots so we can keep doing this event, and you, Charli, for saying let's do it. So shout out.
Yeah, for sure. I love our team, and Amber, she's the one that surprised me. And, when she first started listening and would like say things about what we talked about on the podcast, I was like, she's really listening. She's just not doing this, for points. My other shout outs here is for Ron Frassard. He's one that introduced me to like how technical podcasts used to be, and it seemed overwhelming at the time, but encouraging. And, to have him on the podcast kind of talk through that and what he does in the industry, in the fluid sealing arena. I just love him. So thank you, Ron, for your support. And then Leroy, if you haven't met Leroy, go to LinkedIn, use the hashtag Empowering Industry Podcast, and look for his summaries. He just does it every week. He's, listening to us and giving like a breakdown of what he got out of the podcast, really. And I just love it. So thank you so much, Leroy.
Agree. Number one fan for sure. We'll give him a badge. So just some top stats of things that have happened over the past 100 episodes. We have over 8,000 downloads, and that doesn't capture everyone, because when did we start video?
It was, I want to say this year.
Yeah, so definitely. It was after I came back. Yeah. So all the people that are watching on YouTube as well, it's been downloaded from 86 countries. The top 4 are the US, Canada, the Czech Republic, and the UK. I would really love to know who in the Czech Republic is listening to this show, because they also show up in the top cities as well. So it's been downloaded from over 1,000 cities. And in that top 10 is a city from the Czech Republic that I had to Google, but I found out where it was.
I have to say, every time that we talk about this and all the different countries that are tuning in, our mission with Empowering Pumps started with connecting the global pump industry. And it just makes me so happy that we've actually done that. We have them on our meetups and now on the podcast. It's just a great feeling.
And then I did a little math on my own, which is always a scary thing. So I don't know that I'd fully trust this number, but I looked at our interview list, our guest list that we have, that we share. I think you've interviewed 94 people, which, like we have 100 episodes. Some of those episodes were just you and I talking. Some of those episodes we've had repeat guests like we're going to have today. But 94 people, Charli, that you've talked to in this format and shared their story, which I think was one of your big goals when we started this. So I think that's awesome.
It is. And I love being able to just say, hey, I want to have you on the podcast. And there's no like tie to anything else we do other than they have a story to tell. And so I'll continue to do that. Yeah. Let me talk a little bit about my top memories. One is actually before we ever kind of launched our podcast, me and Carly were playing around with the equipment, and she gets the microphone and she says, me and my mom are going to do a podcast. And it was just the best tone of voice and like confidence, and like she owned it. And it was just a really, really amazing highlight for me. The other thing is, Bethany, watching you kind of become a producer. There is so much, talent wise, we can go on and on about what you produce with the different things, from photography to graphics to the Charli brand. But producing the podcast, you had to learn all the technical side. You have to also like be able to make it look good as well. Now we're going to the YouTube channel and everything. That was a challenge.
A lot more pressure when it's your own face that you're talking about making look good here. So,
well, you've done a great job on both. You're beautiful. And, I just love that you you keep me on track, and I love to say that, but it's because you're thinking about how to produce it, how should it flow, what should we cover, and you're doing an amazing job. So thanks for letting me be your co-host. Okay, so the other things that really stood out to me as special moments for me, interviewing the director of the Brave Blue World and really getting to hear his side of what he's passionate about and aligning with what I'm passionate about. He had been to Uganda, and it was just a wonderful way to combine Hollywood and the water industry, and I loved it. Also,
his interview, I'm not going to interrupt you on every single point. All of these things make me so excited. Listening to his interview, I'm going to try to go back and link all of these shows so you can, go and find these episodes. It'll be easy for you. Really inspired me to realize that art is necessary to tell people's stories. He was very passionate about this issue, and he went and did it. And there's things that I think are awesome. And I'm I could go and tell their story. I could take their pictures. I could tell their story. I could do all this. And that interview, I think, was one of my most inspirational interviews that I've listened to that you've done, for sure.
Yeah. And I think that's why too, it is that art side of things that, how does that work in our business? And we are in STEAM, Bethany. That's the thing that we're in, that we love. Okay. The other moment was with Rob Kalwarowski when he discussed mental health in an interview that I thought was going to be about reliability and maintenance. And so I just want to, it was just a moment as you're talking and listening to people that you're like, wow, there's something else there. And wow, did we need to talk about mental health in the future after that? One other thing, having the podcast during such a turmoil, I'm just going to say the word wrong, but just yeah, exactly.
Tumultuous time.
A very hard time. Okay.
Yeah.
And there were some episodes that we did that were bonus episodes. Candace Reese was one that we shared some really deep, hard conversations that helped me grow as a person, helped others. And when I heard back from our listeners that it affected their lives and helped them through those challenges, it made all the difference. Deepak talking about marketing being a critical piece of our business. I agree.
Validated. Thank you.
Exactly. And, there's some other people, but Lance Robinson with Solderweld, he taught me about this industry and the workers and what is all that entails. But also I felt famous when talking to him. I had been to AHR. I'd seen this huge group of people around his booth. And I just felt oh, I feel special that you are on the podcast with me. Also, Angel Wildman, we have to talk about her and all of her help that she gave women in STEM, talking about real women issues and how we can have resources and really help each other. Elena's episode, facing her fears and being on a podcast, that was really quite a amazing moment, but also a fashionable one too. I just love the way that we both looked in that one. And speaking of fashion, it is one of my favorite people's birthday today as we're recording this. Emily Solaby, your episode was amazing. You said yes to doing the fashion show. We talked about it on the episode, and so then we had to have it, right? We say we're going to do something, we have to do it. And I just want to thank her for that and really just being an inspiration to us every day in the Hazard Girls community.
Happy birthday, Emily. She also has her own podcast, which is something I didn't even plan to mention today, but since we've started, you've been on a lot of different podcasts too, sharing your story. And so I feel like the podcast platform in general is a great way to get your story out there. And it's been fun to watch you grow as a speaker as well through this platform that we've created.
Yes, I agree. There's so many different podcasters out there in our industry. So look for them. And, there's a world there. We'll interview you, you interview us. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. So some of my favorite memories, the very first memory, the day the show launched, I found out I was pregnant with baby Jack. I know I've told y'all this, but it was just this crazy moment. I'd experienced a pregnancy loss a year before that. And then it just takes some time to get pregnant sometimes. And then the pandemic started and it was kind of a scary time. But it's just a really fun memory that those two things are tied together for me.
It's such a happy, right?
Yes.
Like such a happy moment.
Yeah.
You were happy creating the podcast. I always say that's why, because she was just having such a great time creating. But we love Baby Jack and Bowen and Mark. And so it's just great that we're
In
all
that
tied
order,
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another really good memory was seeing that we actually had an audience. So you start doing this thing, you put it out there, and it's a very vulnerable moment when you publish that first episode and you're like, if 5 people listen to this, we're not going to keep doing it, right? You know, like there's a threshold somewhere. And so seeing that people enjoyed the content and wanted it was a really validating moment for me. Celebrating our 1-year party with a lot of our guests was a fun. And then I think you kind of hit on it, saying you liked seeing me become a producer. I really liked having a way to have a voice to share with the industry and tell you about social and think about personal branding. And it's one of those things that a lot of times I don't really focus on for myself, but I really enjoy watching other people thrive and helping them thrive. And so this has been the perfect balance of the two, I think.
And you're great at it. And you're such a great trainer as well. So she's trained all of us on how to be better in these areas. And she's also the power behind that. Every week when we talk about something, Let's Get Social, she's putting it into a form where you can actually learn from it. So thank you for that.
And then another fun memory is almost every episode, Charli mispronounces something. You heard her do it already. I made a short clip of her doing it before. So tell me, you can hear clips when I play them, right? Okay.
I think so.
Here we go.
Yes. So this is Steve Hasheen. I said his name wrong. Hasheen. How did I do that? It's because I'm looking at your pink stuff again today.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's my fault. Okay. So I'm so excited to bring you Steve Hasheen. He is the operations and engineering.
No, it's definitely Shaheen.
Did I say that?
So Charli
also one of my favorite episodes was Steve.
Can't pronounce names on the first try. It's become a running joke. It's very fun for me. I love it. Every week we look forward to it.
Well, I'm glad that it's a positive, y'all. We can turn any of these little bloopers into a positive. And I will have to say, reaching 100 downloads and knowing that there are people out there listening, like I compared it to like being at an event and there being 100 people in the room. That was pretty amazing. Well, I'll pay for that. That's amazing. I'm saying amazing a lot on this episode. So yeah, I think we love it.
Yeah.
It just makes me happy, y'all.
Yeah. I have some more of those fun bloopers. We used to have them on every episode because Charli and I messed up so much that I would have good content for every episode. Now we're such just professionals that we don't have outtakes every episode, but I did make a compilation of a few of our favorites that I'll tack on to the end of the episode. Stick around, listen to those. They're pretty funny. Just some highlights throughout the 100 episodes of bloopers. So I had a few tips, my top tips for doing a podcast for all of you that are listening. You're like, this is awesome. I may want to start a podcast too. I'm not going to tell you any of the technical content, like audio stuff. You can get that somewhere. Or if you want to talk to me about it. But what I would say is that you need to have interesting content. Have people on the show that you want to listen to who are fun and lively, like Charli, who will be a guest on your show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Secondly, you have to be consistent and reliable. We talked about this a lot when we talked in our video series and YouTube, is that the audience comes to expect something on a regular basis, and giving them that content on a regular basis will keep them there. And then
it will also keep you there. It will keep you consistent and driven to show up for them because they're expecting you to be there. So I think it also gives us a little extra push too, knowing that.
And Charli can say I'm horrible with deadlines. But I have not missed a podcast, people. Like, this is the one thing. Like, I'm like, oh, it has to be out or the audience will be mad because they can't hear our podcast. Think of it as a tool for your content marketing strategy, which we're huge on here. I think it's the most successful marketing strategy that you can use in this space specifically. And so you can use the podcast to create more content and also to share more of your content. Just get it out there for more people to hear. And then take the leap and do video. it's hard to convince yourself to be on video sometimes, but it's fun. It gets more people to listen. I think people connect with you more when they can see your face and see what you're thinking. And it's, I think the superior way to podcast.
I can remember you like, should we do a video? I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not getting dressed up for the video every single week. No, I'm not doing that. And it was like, okay, it's time. It's time. Yeah. We're there. And it is a little bit of a challenge because you're trying to stay on track and make yourself, look presentable.
And control your face.
Yes. And Bethany's thinking about that more than I am. She has to do the editing. Yes. Anyway, plans for the future, y'all. We will be starting back. We're going to take a little bit of a break during the holidays, but we'll be starting back January 2022, coming back for season 3. Amazing. Really, really amazing. If you want to be a guest and just be featured on our podcast, reach out to me. I would love to know your story in general. We have the Pump Person of the Week, where we get to know a little bit about you. And if you know me for 5 seconds, I want to know everything about your whole life story. But it's about 20 minutes, these interviews. And so it's not a lot of time. And we'd love to feature you on the podcast. One more thing. I just want to thank everybody, the listeners, for showing up, participating, letting us know that you're there through the comments and subscribing to our YouTube page. I love to see, that the real people out there listening to us and just connect with us. It's wonderful to learn who you are, what you're doing in the industry, how we can help better, what type of topics that you want to hear on the podcast. And so just let us know. There's a lot of different ways to do that, which we've told you several times throughout the podcast, and we will tell you again. But just reach out, stay connected with us, and we would love to share your story.
And one last thing before we move out of social, this is a social update that everyone should know, especially all of our listeners. Charli is famous, y'all. I think you knew this, but she just hit 10,000 followers on where? LinkedIn?
Yes. Yes. LinkedIn, 10,000 followers. 10,000 plus followers.
Person you need to know in the industry, Charli K. Matthews.
So 10 years in business and, just think about that. Did you meet 1,000 people a month or a year, whatever? It's in there somewhere. Another blooper for Bethany.
I'm leaving it in.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun. And I just thank y'all. Thanks for being willing to connect with me and supporting what we've been trying to accomplish to connect, inform, and educate the industry to be better in the workforce. All of us. It really helps, and it starts with that connection. So thank you.
Okay. Now let's move into the news. This is where we're going to preview some news coming to you in the Empowering Pumps and Equipment newsletter. It's an email that goes straight to your inbox twice a week. This week it's coming out once because it's a holiday week. And so we have a couple of stories for you that we think you need to know about.
But first, we want to start out this segment with another podcast sponsor highlight. And this one is Cornell Pumps. They are celebrating 75 years in business. We'll celebrate with them as we are in the mood for celebration.
Yes.
They are an industry leader in high efficiency cutter pumps with the Waste Warrior. Check that out if you haven't. And we have a clip for them.
The design of the station is not just to handle flows today, but to handle flows years out into the future. So we have 5 pumps. This station can pump, design is 18 million gallons a day. The needs in a pump station right now are a lot different than they were 15 years ago. 15 years ago, there weren't as many wipe products out there on the market, which are marketed as flushable wipes. It's basically a cotton product that doesn't break down. It is flushable, but it does not break down in the system. And you need a pump that can pump that product. It was pretty obvious right off the bat when we first started this station up that we were experiencing ragging problems. You would end up 3 pumps ragged up, 4th pump being called on. That's a lot of money we were spending on electricity to run 3 giant 250 horsepower motors. Internally, we made the decision that we really needed to get a pump company involved with trying to come up with a fix for the pump. And since Cornell already had the pump, and they have a version of a cutter assembly for this pump, we thought we'd give that a shot. We had meetings with our engineers, with Cornell, and just internal staff on what's the best way to handle this cheaply. I mean, your wastewater bill pays our salaries and pays for these pumps and everything. So we need to do it financially. We have to pay attention to that. Cornell was really great about continuing with us to see what the problem was, isolate the problem, and try to build a design around solving that problem. When it came down to the end, we were able to just pump that right straight through the pump. And we did it without ragging the pump. We're really pretty excited about getting more flow.
Thank you, Cornell Pump, for sharing.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so my next story is 6 tips to make holiday shutdown a success from Dynomatic. Thank you, Dynomatic. This is wonderful content. Usually the week between Christmas and New Year's, temporary shutdowns are scheduled. We actually have our own temporary shutdowns during that time around here as well. But for you, these temporary shutdowns are not necessarily a negative thing. Though they may sometimes carry negative connotations, we enjoy breaks. We can do a lot of successful things during our breaks. But here are 6 tips to make it a success for you. Designate a leader. Follow best practices. So what have you learned in previous shutdowns? Develop and communicate a clear path or plan. Deploy a smart inventory strategy. And so I'd really like to learn a little bit more about that too, diving into what a smart inventory strategy is. But the next one is planning. It's key to a successful shutdown. Absolutely. And then there is also make sure that you plan a return date of service. So I think that's
people
important.
Gotta know when they're coming back to work, y'all. Give them that start date again.
I remember Becca asking me, like, when is the podcast returning? I didn't have it listed yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so right before a return of service, the equipment must be tested, and that includes installed, operating, and functioning properly. You need to check all your bases to make sure that you're running this equipment properly before you get started.
It's a great article. Definitely check it out. A lot of these places that planned downtime is when you're going to do important maintenance for the year and really get your stuff reset up for next year. It's also really good for your employees to have a break and know, they're going to get to spend some time with their family or at home. It's a really cool article that is stuff I haven't really thought about since I don't work in that space. Hi, Bowen. Do you want to come say hi to Charli real quick?
Yeah.
Bowen's homesick today, so.
Hey, Bowen, you going to be on the podcast with us? We're celebrating.
Hey. Oh, he can't hear you. I'm sorry. Okay.
He's my favorite.
Dad for a minute? I'll be done in just a few minutes.
And there's Mark, too. You're not going to say hello? Bye, Mark. They can't hear me. Thanks,
sorry.
Mark, stepping in right on time for you to have to do something, too.
Yeah. Anyway,
that was wonderful. That made me I get to see him. So quick sidetrack.
Yeah.
Every time that so we talked about Bethany being pregnant and also having a little boy at home to take care of. They have heard my voice so much that and seen my face, I guess now. That Bowen's like, that's not Miss Charli when she's editing somebody else. So to have them on this episode is wonderful. If you decide to take them out, it's fine. But I love it. Love it.
We'll leave them. It's 100th episode celebration. It's fun. Thank y'all for indulging me. It's what we all do right now. You got a sick kid, you just work around it. That's right. Be fine. But the 6 tips to shut down success, really good article. Definitely read it. What I'm sharing is more of an announcement that we want to make to the industry from PSG. They're telling us that Blackmer is increasing manufacturing footprint and production capabilities with an ambitious renovation and construction project. But it sounds really cool. The article kind of outlines what they're building, how long it's going to take. Blackmer, which is part of PSG, they're renovating part of their headquarters in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And it'll increase its manufacturing footprint and production capabilities. But what I thought was really cool about this project, so it'll be done in 2023. It's 56,000 square feet of new manufacturing space. But it will feature several environmental benefits that will help Blackmer reduce its carbon footprint, which is, just a cool new thing they're doing. The article goes into more depth about everything they're building, and it's a fun announcement that we're happy to share from PSG.
I can remember over 10 years ago being in a PSG brand. It was Wildman at the time, their facility, and walking in, and it was lean manufacturing, and it was clean. It was one of my first plants walking through, and it was, not putting metal chips into my shoes. And so I am excited to see what they do and know that it's going to be a great facility. So excellent news.
That's great. Okay, now we're going to move into our industry interview. Charli's favorite segment, probably mine. She finds amazing people, 94 probably, to be specific, to interview and share with you. And we have our very first guest on the podcast. We asked him and he didn't disappoint. He's back for our 100th episode. Charli, why don't you introduce him?
Yes, this is Steve Hernandez, and he is the WaterWisePro, who is our first guest. Like you said, one of our favorite stories. He has introduced many people to his own podcast, but I was introduced to him back in 2016. One of the ways, and I actually saw Artune at his event back, last month. And he said, hey, I introduced you to him by nominating him as the industry person of the week.
That's amazing.
Like, yeah, that's right. And because I had met him, Artune, at an ACE event. And so it was just really neat to see that come around. But I kind of met him, got to know him a little bit, but then I noticed his Instagram. And his Instagram has now 8,500 followers. These are water operators that follow him. And I think that's one of the most amazing things for a water operator who is out in the trenches to also build this audience. He's a great marketer. He is, just an overall good guy. One of the things that he did for us, first off, was write 5 tips for a career in the water sector on empoweringpumps.com. And that was really the beginning of our relationship and really recognizing him as a thought leader, because he is teaching so many different people and training so many different people. Won't get into that, but he did win the Industry Person of the Year that year. And he donated his winnings back to the WaterWisePro community, WWP community, if you want. And you will recognize that because that's what the logo is, and it's seen on the hats, and there's different crews that come in. And so his network is vast. He's passionate about supporting them. And like I said, he's trained thousands of people. I think the stat back when we interviewed him before was 3,000 California distribution and treatment operators. And that was in a short period of time. It was like a 3-year, span. And through his WaterWise training, he has touched so many lives and really inspired them. And I'm excited that we get to talk about the event that he put on. It was the WWP Maintenance and Construction Expo. And so just overall, a wonderful person in our community that gives back, that supports us, that supports me. And when I'm having a bad day, I can call him too. So it's wonderful to have that type of support in our water community.
And what I love about him and the things that he shares, and this is speaking directly to all of our B2B marketers out there who work for manufacturing companies, is Steve empowers the people who are your target audience, who are the, the people that are working in the trenches, doing the things, using your products every day. And so he just is really good at helping connect those two pieces for me and understanding how these people work and empowering these people to work. And then like the importance of the impact of the industry as a whole. He was a wonderful first guest. He's so great to talk to. He's this super connector like Charli, can connect you with anyone. And I'm really excited to have him back on the podcast. I am
It's a great
really
interview.
So yes, wonderful interview. I'm really looking forward to the interview. One quick more thing before we get to the interview. We have our final sponsor that I want to say thank you to. It's okay. It's okay. As long as he's quiet. We're good. We have our final sponsor that I want to thank. We want to thank Proco Products. They're the global leader in design supply of expansion joints and rubber check valves. They're one of our longtime partners and have been featured on interviews on the podcast in the past, and we really appreciate their support of this episode. So please enjoy this clip from Proco.
At Proco Products Incorporated, we are built on a foundation of quality and great customer service. We are the global leader in the design and supply of expansion joints and check valves for piping and ducting systems. For over 30 years, we have prided ourselves on offering the most complete line of products to suit a variety of applications. With over $3 million of finished goods in our warehouse, you can be sure that we have your requirement in stock. Just tell us when you need your product and we'll meet your schedule. In-stock items can quickly be shipped in 1 to 2 days after receipt of order. Once we have confirmed a quote, we will store that quote on our system, making future orders easy. We can tell you the status of your order, when it will be completed, and when and how it was shipped. Once shipped, we can tell you exactly where your order is and when you will receive it. As expansion joint and check valve specialists, we do more than sell products. You can identify competitor products using our interchange guide to find our equivalent for your application. We supply literature for the engineers, not just pretty pictures. The Proco literature is jam-packed with charts, graphs, and data that answers questions and allows you to specify a product for your customers. Need a technical product submittal drawing? Drawings can be prepared same day on most products. We'll assist you in preparing an impressive quotation for your customer. Standard sizes are stocked in a choice of elastomers. NSF ANSI 61 certified is also available upon request. Styles and sizes to 144-inch ID, molded spherical, spool-type wide arch, reducers, pipe penetration seals, PTFE, and rubber duckbill check valves are all available. Proco is a one-call source for your expansion joint and check valve requirements. Our experienced sales staff answers the phone, not an automated system. And with business hours between 5:30 a.m. to 5:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, don't worry about time zones. Just call. We're here for you wherever you are. And if you have an emergency, simply call, even during nights, weekends, and holidays. We'll solve the problem. Proco participates in a number of national and international shows annually, so we can even help generate sales leads for you. As the #1 supplier of expansion joints and check valves, you can have confidence that we manufacture to association standards, guaranteeing a quality product. Buy too much, wrong size, wrong type? With our written return goods policy, just send it back, freight paid. Here at Proco, we take pride at being the authority on expansion joints and check valves. The expansion joint and check valve people.
Thank you, Proco. Thank you, Bethany. I cannot tell you how much Proco's support has been invaluable over the years, and we're glad to have them on this 100th episode as well. Without further delay, which I think is my line today.
I gave it to you today. I was like, there's a first time for everything. Charli's going to roll us into the interview. It'll be great.
I love that. So without further delay, here's your interview. Hey, Steve, welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast. It's one of my favorite days right now. Anytime that we get to celebrate, or that I get to celebrate with you is awesome. So you were our very first interview for the Empowering Industry podcast. And so we wanted to bring you back because we're celebrating our 100th, can I say that?
You can say whatever
100th
you want.
episode. And so, yeah, I just want to reintroduce you to our audience. Some of the people that have joined us along the way may not have seen your episode, but you should go back and listen to the very first episode. But you've come a long way, Steve. So just introduce yourself, kind of tell them where you are, tell them how you leveled up and kind of, what you're doing today.
Sure. Thank you. And first of all, thank you for having me. It's a total honor. I know we're so busy, and I'm glad we always find a way to connect. And so thank you so much for inviting me back to the podcast. And 100th episode, like I can't even get my 23rd episode out, so I don't know how you do it.
It's Bethany. Absolutely, Bethany. She keeps me on track.
Teamwork makes the dream work, that's for sure. So those that don't know, Steve or WaterWisePro, just been in the water industry for 21 years. I was going through some personal struggles in life. And so I was just kind of had to dig in a little bit deeper and find a way to, level up. And that's just a term that we kind of use in our WaterWisePro community, just because there's different ways to level up in your personal life or your career. And so what I did to level up is I started an Instagram, and that's how we met, right?
Yes.
And so early on we met, like probably 2016, I think, is when I started the Instagram, and I think we met that same year. And just started blogging about this water stuff. And in the water industry, we have to get our professional certification through our states or our regulatory agencies. And I started blogging about typical things you see on state exams and encouraging people to get their state certifications. And then I started doing classes shortly after that to help people promote up and, get into the industry with their certification. So trained over 5,000 operators in the 5 years that we've been doing this. And a lot of it's been, I have a full-time job.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, this is his side hustle, y'all.
Yeah. So it's gone really well, but it's, my vacation days or my days off are spent traveling, doing classes and stuff like that. And so, on episode number 1 that we did, amongst the beginning of the pandemic, right, where, everyone was kind of going into hibernation, and so did WaterWisePro for a little bit. We actually moved down. So me and my wife, we moved down to Southern California. Another, job opportunity came up for Harupa Community Services District. So I'm a utility superintendent now, overseeing collections, wastewater collections and water distribution, which I've always been very passionate about. And so the collection side of things is new for me. So I'm starting to dabble in the sewer side, and it's been great. And the district's awesome. So a lot of support from them. So I took to virtual training through doing classes through Zoom. This year we did some out-of-state training with Las Vegas Valley Water District, Denver Water. So starting to get outside of California and doing more classes that way. And we had a very good first quarter. And so I'm like, what's next? Was that my computer? Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, yeah, you're talking about kind of the first quarter. That's where you were?
Yeah. So I had a really good first quarter doing Zoom courses, which is not my favorite type of thing. I like to be in front of, people and do the in-person classes, but, amongst the environment that we have right now, that's just what we have. So did that. And then, I was just like, I got to, this is an opportunity to level up. And, all our conferences and expos have either been virtual expos or, just different from what we know pre-pandemic. And so I was just like, how can we do something different? And so we did our first WaterWisePro Expo.
Okay, hold that. Okay. I want to get to that for sure. Okay. But I want to touch base just a little bit or dive into a little bit of what you did during the pandemic. So you still continued your community. And I think this is one of the things that I love about you, that Instagram channel. And anytime somebody says our industry is not on social media, I'm like, well, you're just not looking. Yeah. Because this is the water community. All of these water operators engage with you and they're asking you questions and really, giving their life over like, hey, can you help me with this challenge that I'm having? And you're there for them. So I think that's even though you weren't able to like train them in the same way, you were still there for them during that. And I think that's a big testament to, why you're successful in everything that you do is because you do really truly care about others and helping them achieve success. And I think that the other thing is, looking at what you have created through a social media channel, I talked about this in the first episode, it's just amazing. And to be able to be present for those people, like 8,000 plus, I'll just say, because I haven't seen it recently, the plus is probably significant. And, I think that, you can't undervalue that and just being there for your community.
Yeah, I don't know if it's this imposter syndrome or just always wanting to do more. And we can't kind of lie to ourselves, and we know how much effort we put into things, and so I'm like, I know I could do better. I know I can have more of an impact on people's lives and stuff like that. And and I firmly believe that as long as you try to take care of other people, your life will always be taken care of. And so I always feel like my family deserves the best, and I deserve the best. And so with that, I want to give, the best service and support I can to my brothers and sisters in the industry. And,
well, you absolutely have. You absolutely have. And I guess last month, I don't even know if it was last month, the date better than I do. I went to California, and I was able to join you for the very first WaterWisePro Expo. So it was maintenance and construction, which I loved that those two came together. But you were leading it, and your community was there. I know that your boss is also supporting this because I met him at WebTech, and just being able to see the community come together for you was awesome. But also you creating it and knowing what they needed. So I just want to hear from you. Why did you create this expo? What does it mean, for you?
Yeah. So we had a really good first quarter in regards to training. And so I was like, okay, like either I can continue this throughout 2021 or just kind of dig in deeper and level up and the things that I do for the community. And so, most expos and shows that we go to, it's an association that puts it on, and they've done great. And I just felt like, why not a WaterWisePro Maintenance and Construction Expo? And we're going to focus more towards the frontline staff, like those that they're working around equipment and in the trenches and stuff like that. And so. Yeah, in May I pulled the trigger and I just threw it out there on the ground that we're going to do this on November 3rd. And
it was November. Yes.
Yeah. And so once it's on the ground, it's got to be real, right? It's got to happen. So that's my way of holding myself accountable to the things that I do. So if I put it out there, like I have to live that, that same type of life.
I do the same thing. If I say I'm going to do it, we're going to do it.
Got to do it. Yeah. So so we have this full-time job that we're trying to juggle, right? And so go home, have dinner, sit back on the computer, and I'm planning and I'm Googling different companies that I'd like to see at the show. And I don't have a lot of contacts for vendors, up until this year. And so I Google companies, and the next day after work, I'm sitting in my truck and I'm cold calling people after work to try to get them to show up, or emailing them. And so it's been a lot of that, and then just hyping it up on Instagram and on the website, doing all that stuff between 6 p.m. till like midnight every day for about 5 months. And we ended up having an attendance of over 865 people. 91 registered exhibitors. It was great attendance and a huge stretch. Like we had people from 8 hours north, city of Sacramento and Central Valley, California. And so, and all over Southern California and Central Coast. So, definitely the Instagram WaterWise community showed up and represented, which was really cool, including yourself. Was so
all the way from Alabama.
All the way from Alabama. No, it was just a really, really cool show. And the feedback we got from the exhibitors was very, very positive. And they loved the feel, the environment, and they felt that the people that showed up asked great questions and engaging questions and wanted to learn, and they just weren't there for the free swag that all the exhibitors give out.
But there was free swag. There was a lot of free. Yeah, it was. There were amazing gifts that you got and distributed out at lunch. And I just can't say enough about the attendees. I got to see it kind of from a different angle, but seeing like the whole team. The supervisors brought their team to this expo, and they were participating and learning in the different sessions, and asking questions at the booths, like you said. It was just it was exactly what they needed. It was timely. It was a little hot for me, but it was beautifully done, and just well done. I'm just so excited for you.
Thank you. Yeah, Southern California, fall season, right? 80 plus degrees. Yeah, no, it was great, and we had some agencies that signed up a dozen staff members. We had City of Santa Ana sign up 39 employees for the event. So like. It was well attended, and we had over 75 different agencies represented within the expo. So it was great. It was really great.
Well, you can definitely see that you filled a need that was there. So 6 months of putting this together, that's remarkable, and to have that type of attendance and just. The vision come to light. I was taking all kinds of photos just because I was trying to capture this moment for you because, you were in it, you were driving, and you had a lot of support too. I love the volunteers that you had. I got to tell this story. I drove up and I could see it. I'm coming into the city and I can see all of these big trucks and equipment and everything. And I'm pulling up, and then I see all the WaterWisePro shirts. And somebody walks up to the car and knew exactly who I was and told me what to do next. And it was just like, okay, I felt like I was, at a 5-star hotel somewhere. I'm like, this is amazing. And so you definitely have that customer service as part of and support for people as part of your community.
Yeah, and I think obviously you're a celebrity in the water world as well, and so I think
I felt like it then.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's great, and I think when you work hard and you're passionate about what you do, people want to be involved and people want to help. So I threw it out there. Hey, I need some volunteers, and it was just like I had like 30 volunteers at the show that like just wanted to help out, and it was great, and they had great attitudes, and I had nothing but positive feedback from the exhibitors, from the volunteer help too. So it's a testament to our industry. They work hard every day, and then they still want to give, and and I think when you have those kind of industries, it's just like it's gold. It's so fun to be a part of, and yeah, no, so it was great.
I agree. And, I got to sit down and have lunch with a couple crews, which was, I couldn't stay still. I had to, mingle and everything. But sitting there and talking to them and their, I guess, thought of themselves and the work that they do, and being able to have that camaraderie that you give them of like, okay, this is what we do every day. This is why we do it. And having those conversations and then being able to support them and being like, this is amazing, the work that you do. So I enjoyed being able to give, some positive feedback to the people that are working hard every day that may not feel like they're, deserve any type of support or value. And they do so much more than we give them credit for. So that was really a part that I think you're doing, in creating those environments to support them.
Yeah, no, when we say essential workers, like they are truly essential workers. And, the last 2 years, we've all been here, operations has all been here. We come to work every single day. And, some have gotten sick and been able to come back to work right away. And a lot of them just kept trucking, all the way through this thing. And so our schedules never really changed. And our spirits have maintained,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's been great to know that we're a part of something that's huge. And without these teams and these essential workers and these hardworking individuals, like a lot of communities would not thrive like they do. And so yeah, it's like I said, it's a testament to the industry that we have and the opportunities it gives all of us to provide for our own families and stuff like that. And so I think it's just a part of being grateful for what we're a part of. And continuing to give back any way we can.
Yeah. And I think that being in this and being that kind of spokesperson for the group, it is a little bit difficult to kind of keep your mindset, right? That you are the person to do that. But I have no doubt in my mind when I see how people follow you and look to you for inspiration, and you just have that gift of words that you know, it's wonderful. But I also know how hard it is to put something like that on, to create an event. You know, like you were saying, you sacrificed a lot to make that happen. And I think that it takes having somebody also there for you to support you and lift you up. And so, you know, we create that with our leaders, right? We don't want anybody at the top feeling alone because it's a struggle. It's a struggle to celebrate and then not immediately be like, I could have done better. What's next? How can I improve?
Yeah.
And that is a high achiever, high performer mindset is, you know, okay, how can I level up? How can I do better? How can I do better? But I do want you to continue to sit in what this year was and how much work that you put into that, and it was successful. So, you know, I'm going to say it now, well done. And we're so grateful that you did put in that work.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. And I put a lot into it. Right. And you know, with big goals demand big action. So I was totally immersed in the planning of this expo, and I don't like to look bad. So I just told myself, I have to do a great job. This one has to hit hard. The first year has to be, you know, create that buzz that, you know, people want to come back for the second year. And I tried to do everything I could, you know, and then the day after the expo, I'm not going to lie, I was getting ready, taking a shower to go back to work, you know, the next day. And I was just like, I was kind of like, just kind of beating myself up. Like, I could have done this better. I could have done that better. Like, was it good enough, you know? And I'm like, okay, so what's next? And I didn't give myself time to celebrate like I should. And what I tell everybody, like, you know, celebrate your wins, and, you know, and take the family out and celebrate. And I'm guilty of not doing that. And I was quickly reminded by a couple of our field supervisors that are my right hands here at work, and they volunteered at the show, and they're just like, man, it was so great. And, you know, like, they just pumped me back up, you know, as soon as I came in work. And so it just kind of quickly reminded, like, don't be selfish. Like, a lot of people got a lot of great stuff out of the expo and are proud of, you know, the expo and the industry, and to celebrate. And so
I'll tell you one more thing.
Yeah.
When we were at registration and I saw your daughter there and got to meet the family, but just to watch her and how she was trying to help and be of service to everyone that was showing up, it was just like, you are doing that for your family as well as all of these people. So they're looking to you and seeing this person who does and is there for everyone else. And so we can give that back to you. And I'm so glad that you have the team that supports you. And, you know, I think that's it. It is making sure you have cheerleaders in your corner that you can, you know, get you back on track. I am guilty of the same thing. It's always like the high and then the low after it. So I'm like, okay, keep me into the middle there. Like, where's the middle? Where's my cheerleaders? What positive things can I say to myself? Because at the end of the day, it is a major accomplishment to have an event, first of all, that people want to attend. The fact that you can get it set up in time and everything works, you know, is just, it really is remarkable. So thank you for sharing that with me, allowing me to come and participate as an exhibitor. I had a lot of fun. Anything else you want to? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just say thank you. I say thank you for acknowledging that, you know, like, they see me on the computer every night, weekends. They're going to sleep, and I'm still working, and I wake up before them, and I'm, you know, going to work and stuff. And so, like, being able to show them that, like, they're part of that too. And I think my daughter's 5. So she was just like, welcome to my papa's work at the expo. She was telling a lot of people that, and that's what I heard that she was doing. And so it was just really cool to, like, be able to share that, because they don't get to see any of the in-person classes, any of the classes they've done. They've never gotten to see any of that stuff. So for them to be a part of that was really cool, and it meant a lot. And that's our legacy, right? Is being able to do that for our families, and for our families to see the passion that we have for what it is that we're passionate about, so that they know that their dreams can come true and their dreams can exist. And if, we put in the work. And
yeah. So one other thing about family, your dad and uncles showed up and were there to support you. And I got to capture this moment with y'all talking to each other. And then, of course, I made you pose for a photograph. But it was just, I know that they're proud of you, and you learned from them. And it was just a wonderful moment to get to see that. And it is why we work. It's why your community works, right? To give back to their families and support them and be there for them. And that's hard work that you do. So to be able to know that you're doing that to support family, I think is definitely instilled in you. And it was wonderful to see them support you that day.
Yeah, no, everything we do is should be to honor those that have given us opportunities and help us, made those sacrifices so that we can get to where we're at. And, my dad instilled that work ethic in me very young. I think I'm the only fifth grader that's ever owned his own lawnmower. And then my two uncles, they helped me get into my first water position in the industry. And so, because they had been in the industry I think they both retired with like over 30 years of experience in the water industry. So they're, obviously helped me get my first step in. And so having those three guys there at the Expo was super, super cool. And it's something I'll never forget. So yeah, no, I think everything we do is about our legacy and the relationships that we create and stuff like that. All of the tangible things, they can go away, but like the things that matter the most are the relationships that we have and what people know us for. And I think that it's very important. So that we keep leveling up and we keep striving for that best version of ourselves. So.
Yeah. And you have some really great stories around that. So y'all ask them about that, how that person that we're going to meet later, right? What's it going to look like?
Yep.
Okay. So I just want to thank you. We're celebrating our 100th, but we're also celebrating with you, your success, and just thanks for being here. Thanks for your continued work. Is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with?
No, I this is your 100th podcast, and I think you should be celebrating more than I'm celebrating. And, again, this is a testament to who you are, too, is always very selfless and always supporting the industry as much as you can. And I love it. And, any way I can give you that same love back and support, you just let me know. I'm always here to support you and everything you do, Charlie. And you're doing great. And,
thank you. My team has been awesome, too.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you so much.
And we're back. Thank you so much, Charlie, for doing the interview. Thank you for asking Steve to be back on. Thank you, Steve, for being here. And to the WaterWisePro community, thank you for all your support as well. We really appreciate it.
This brings us to the end of our show. Thanks for listening.
Do us a favor, subscribe, rate and review to the podcast. Leave us 5 stars wherever you're listening to it. We really appreciate it.
You can always reach us at Empowering Pumps or using the hashtag Empowering Industry Podcast. Email me, podcast@empoweringpumps.com.
And we'll be back next year with a new episode.
So until then, be empowering.
Be empowering.
Hey, Bowen. Hey, Bowen.
Hi.
Hey. I love it. Oh, you were already recording? You were trying to get me. We can do it again.
I was trying.
Jump.
Okay.
I love it. Okay. Let's